Launching rockets to space is a high-stakes, unforgiving business, with razor-thin margins between success and failure. The famous SpaceX rocket company is certainly no exception. You have to crack a few eggs to make an omelet, but in SpaceX's case, those broken eggs just happen to result in spectacular explosions. In this video, we'll bring you the top SpaceX launches that went horribly wrong, and we'll dive into the post-mortem to see exactly what went wrong. First, it's Falcon 1, 2006. The Kwajalein Atoll lies 2,500 miles southwest of Hawaii in the middle of the Pacific nowhere. Unarmed warheads launched from California make their way there during ICBM tests because, well, there's room to spare. And Kwajalein has one other function. It's where SpaceX rented a pad to test experimental space rockets. In March of 2006, 4 years after Elon Musk founded SpaceX, company techs prepped a 70-foot-tall Falcon 1 for launch. Musk needed to prove his hardware could fly and fly consistently if he was going to realize his spacefaring dreams. Weeks of tests preceded the launch, and the rocket was left exposed in the salty air, and then finally on March 26, Falcon 1 heads to space with an Air Force Academy payload on board. The countdown proceeds, no warning sound. As the countdown ticks down to T-minus 2 seconds, the rocket valves open to let the propellant flow, and at that moment, an aluminum nut gives way, spewing fuel. That fuel ignites during the launch. The rocket rises for 34 glorious seconds before the flames chew through a pneumatic line which kills the engine. Later, the analysis will show that air rusted the aluminum, weakening the nut to the point it failed under the stress of the launch. And for that minor sin, the entire rocket suffers. Engineering is all about testing, failing, learning, and rebuilding, and more attempts for a perfect launch followed and failed, but on September 28, 2008, Falcon 1 became the very first privately developed liquid-fueled launch vehicle to reach orbit and put SpaceX on a course for everything that's come after. But development was stopped in favor of Falcon 9. Second is the Falcon 9 landing. Elon Musk is known for being an innovator and making possible what was once thought of as impossible. He and his team developed a way for the boosters to not only guide themselves back down to Earth, but to be able to land standing upright. I'm sure we've all seen this somewhere online by now, but these landings didn't always go according to plan. January 17, 2016, a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket successfully launched an ocean science satellite, but the attempt to land the rocket's first stage on a ship failed. The status of a secondary objective of the launch, the landing of the rocket's first stage, was not immediately known. A video feed from the company's drone ship, located nearly 300 kilometers downrange from the launch site, cut out seconds before the stage was to attempt a landing. A SpaceX spokesman said on the company's webcast of the launch a short time later that the first stage was on target to land on the ship, but came in too hard. It looks like one of the landing legs may have broken as we touched down on the drone ship, he said. Unfortunately, we are not standing upright on the drone ship at the moment. SpaceX chief executive Elon Musk later tweeted that a problem with a landing leg, not a hard landing, caused the vehicle to topple. Touchdown speed was okay, but a leg lockout didn't latch, so it tipped over after landing. Number 3, SN8. Next, talking about SpaceX Starship, the fully reusable launch system for eventual Moon and Mars trips, it's no stranger to explosions, ruptures, and failed landings. Many of these failures happen, therefore, simply because Starship is a new system trying to do unusual things. December 9, 2020, the SN8 prototype made a dramatic flight, successfully hitting several milestones before failing to stick the landing and erupting in a fireball. Less than 2 minutes into the flight, one of the 3 Raptor engines powered down. Nearly 5 minutes into the flight, the final Raptor engine stopped firing. After reaching the apex of its course, the SN8 began to roll, reorienting the rocket to fall sideways. Shortly before touchdown, all 3 Raptor engines powered back on, the rocket reoriented, and it approached its designated landing site with precision. But because of a last-minute issue with the pressure in the SN8's fuel tank, the landing didn't go as smoothly as intended. Apple green flames, a result of chemicals burning off into the engine flame, were quickly engulfed by a giant plume of fire and smoke as the SN8 slammed into the ground. To most people, this crash would be a huge disappointment, but Elon Musk isn't most people. Musk was pleased with the progress. SN8 did great. Even reaching apogee would have been great. So controlling all the way to putting the crater in the right spot, it was epic. SpaceX is known to embrace fiery mishaps during rocket development process. The company maintains that such accidents are the quickest and most efficient way to gather data, an approach that sets the company apart from its close partner NASA, which likes a slow, methodical testing over dramatic flare-ups. Fourth is the SN-10. Doing one better than its predecessor SN-9, the prototype Starship SN-10 soared to its planned altitude of 10 kilometers on March 7, 2021, did the horizontal re-entry flip practice, and came back to the ground for a smooth touchdown. Unfortunately, some flames were visible near SN-10's base shortly after landing, and the vehicle soon exploded right there on the launch pad. Musk later said on Twitter, the spacecraft came in a little too fast for the landing due to low thrust likely caused by an issue in the fuel header tank. The hard landing crushed the legs of the landing system along with part of the engine skirt. The resulting damage led to the explosion a few minutes later. Number 5 is the SpaceX CRS-7. The Falcon 9 launch on June 28, 2015 is nominal for 139 seconds. Inside the fairing at its tip are supplied for the astronauts on the International Space Station. There's also a piece of hardware called the International Docking Adapter, which is an extremely complicated airlock. At T plus 140 seconds, the data stream alerts Mission Control that something's wrong. The second stage, still unlit, is suffering a plunge in liquid oxygen pressure. Observers reported a plume of white vapor from the stage shrouding the rocket as it rises, another terrible sign. Within 10 seconds, the rocket explodes and disintegrates. The Dragon capsule tumbles into the ocean. The answer is in the hardware. In a pressure-fed engine, a separate gas supply is needed to force fuel and oxidizer into the combustion chamber. In Falcon 9, helium is the gas of choice to pressurize the propellant tank. High-pressure composite bottles hold the helium that pressurizes the second stage, replacing oxygen that's expended during the launch. They are stored inside oxygen tanks. During the launch, one of the two struts holding one tank in place broke. The loose material caused havoc right away. This caused a high-pressure event inside the second stage within less than 1 second, and the stage was no longer able to maintain its structural integrity, SpaceX said. Modern industry is dependent on a supply chain that needs to be checked for quality. In this case, the struts were not up to the stress, and no one noticed until it was too late. SpaceX will implement additional hardware quality audits throughout the vehicle to ensure further all parts received perform as expected, the company said. Musk tells the press that the string of successes may have had a bad influence on employees who have only seen launch successes. The company, as a whole, has become a little complacent over 7 years, he says. This is certainly an important lesson. And that just about wraps it up for today's episode. Hey, don't forget, share your ideas in the comments section because your support motivates us to create more quality videos. And for that, we thank you so much and hope to see you next time.